We are heading, as you know, to Israel, and I'm going with a very simple and clear message on behalf of the President of the United States and on behalf of the American people. And that is that the United States has Israel's back. We have the back of the Israeli people. We have their back today. We'll have it tomorrow. We will have it every day. We stand resolutely against terrorism. We've seen the almost undescribable acts committed by Hamas against Israeli men, women, and children. Every day, we're learning more, and it is simply heartbreaking. Not since ISIS have we seen this kind of depravity, and we will continue to stand very resolutely against it. When I'm in Israel, I'll have the opportunity to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Herzog, other senior officials. I look forward to seeing our embassy team as well that's been doing terrific work during these difficult days. We're determined to make sure that Israel gets everything it needs to defend itself, to provide for the security of its people. Already, significant military assistance requested by Israel is on the way. That's on top of everything that we've been doing for years, including with the Memorandum of Understanding that was negotiated by President Obama to make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself. At the same time, we anticipate there'll be further needs, further requests. We've already been working closely with Congress on this, and we look forward to continuing to do that to make sure that Israel has what it needs. Second, we will be reaffirming the very strong message that President Biden has delivered to any country or any party that might try to take advantage of this situation. And that message is don't. The President has deployed, as you know, the world's largest aircraft carrier group to the region to make very clear our intent to deter anyone contemplating any further aggression against Israel. Finally, we're, of course, very focused on our own people, our own citizens. We lost 22 Americans. That number could still go up, and it probably will. At the same time, we have a number of Americans who remain unaccounted. We are working very closely with the government of Israel to determine their whereabouts, and if they have been taken hostage by Hamas, to work to secure their release. So all of these things are on the agenda over the next day or so with Israel, but the main point is this. We stand with Israel. We'll continue to do so. We want to make sure to the best of our ability, and I know Israel wants to make sure to the best of its ability that civilians are not harmed. But Israel has to take steps to defend itself. It has to make sure that any ongoing threat is dealt with, and I believe it has to make sure that going forward, what happened doesn't happen again. We do everything we can to make sure that in these situations we avoid civilian casualties. That is in direct contrast with Hamas, which uses people as human shields. It actually seeks to put Palestinian civilians in situations where they could be harmed. This is very much part of their game plan. So we know that Israel will take all of the precautions that it can, just as we would. And again, that's what separates us from Hamas and terrorist groups that engage in the most heinous kind of activities.
All right, guys, let's load. All right, CBS, onward.
You know, among those who have been victimized, this evil, who've been killed, are at least 22 American citizens. This attack was a campaign of pure cruelty, not just hate, but pure cruelty against the Jewish people. And I would argue it's the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust. The deadliest day since the Holocaust. We're surging additional military assistance to the Israeli Defense Force, including ammunition, interceptors to replenish the Iron Dome, and we've moved the U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean, and we're sending more fighter jets there in that region, and made it clear to the Iranians, be careful. I've known Bibi for over 40 years. A very frank relationship. I know him well. And the one thing that I did say, that it is really important that Israel, with all the anger, frustration, and just I don't know how to explain it, that exists, is that they operate by the rules of war. The rules of war. And there are rules of war. And I believe Israel is doing everything in its power to pull the country together, stay on the same page, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure Israel succeed, and God willing, to bring home those Americans who are in harm's way. To make clear, there is no place for hate in America. Not against Jews, not against Muslims, not against anybody.
The United States has Israel's back. We have the back of the Israeli people. We have their back today. We'll have it tomorrow. We will have it every day. We stand resolutely against terrorism. We've seen the almost undescribable acts committed by Hamas against Israeli men, women, and children. Every day, we're learning more, and it is simply heartbreaking.
The Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says the number of people displaced across Gaza has now topped 263,000 men, women, and children, an increase of 40% since yesterday. More than 1,000 housing units in Gaza have been destroyed, and some 560 have been severely damaged and rendered uninhabitable. An additional 12,630 have sustained lesser damage. All 13 hospitals and other health facilities in Gaza are only partially operational due to the supply shortages and fuel rationing. The Beit Hanun hospital is also inaccessible due to damage in the surrounding area. With water supplies cut off from Israel into Gaza, there's a severe shortage of drinking water, impacting 650,000 people. Israeli airstrikes have damaged 7 facilities that had been providing water and sanitation services to over 1 million people. In some areas, sewage and solid waste are now accumulating in the streets, posing an obvious severe health hazard. 220,000 people, internally displaced people, are sheltering in 92 UNRWA schools across the Gaza Strip. The numbers continue to increase as airstrikes from the Israeli air forces are continuing. 11 UNRWA staff personnel have been killed since Saturday, while 3 teachers have been injured. Meanwhile, 30 UNRWA students have also been killed and another 8 have been injured. UNRWA staff are working around the clock to respond to the needs of the displaced in the shelters. However, some are overcrowded and have limited availability of food and other basic items such as potable water. Our peacekeeping colleagues in Lebanon report that the situation in southern Lebanon along the Blue Line remains tense. The peacekeeping mission observed several instances of indirect fire from both sides of the Blue Line today and yesterday, including the fire of illumination rounds and artillery shells. The UN staff, UN peacekeepers are continuing to implement their mandate, and the head of the mission, Force Commander Aroldo Lazaro Sainz, remains in constant contact with his counterparts in the Israeli Defense Forces and the Lebanese Armed Forces as part of the mission's liaison coordination mechanism to help de-escalate this very volatile situation and to prevent any loss of life. Earlier this morning, peacekeepers on patrol in Maroun Aras were subjected to aggressive behavior from a crowd who tried to enter one of the vehicles. There were no injuries to UNIFIL personnel. Despite this incident, UN peacekeepers are continuing to patrol and maintain their presence along the Blue Line to try to help maintain stability. For Venezuela, as the Secretary General mentioned, is in Cairo in Egypt, where he's met with Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and other Egyptian officials. He remains in close contact with other key international and regional partners to discuss the ongoing situation and he continues his outreach to the parties. The priority remains to bring an end to the ongoing devastating violence so as to avoid further loss of civilian life and to prevent any expansion to the current conflict.